الفرن
يكون واحد رجل عاقل احسن.
دلوقتي الفرونتاليس جيليا بنيوروزيس، الانسيرشن بتاع السكين اوف اي برو اند روت اوف ذا نوز، الاكشن بتاع ريس الاي بروز، رينكلز ذا فور هيد هوريزونتالي. بعد كده دي الفرونتاليس. بعد كده كورجيتور سوبرلاي، ده الارش اوف ذا فرونتال بون above the nasal bone. Skin of the eyebrow draws the eyebrow medially and inferiorly, wrinkles the forehead, vertically furrowing, facial, levator papillary scoliosis, tendinous band around the optic foramina, near annular ring, upper eyelid, raises eyelid, oculomotor, orbicularis oculi, frontalis and maxillary, bone and ligaments around the orbit, tissue of eyelid, blinking وسكوينتنج. رقم 4 وdraws الأيبرو inferiorly. بعد كده رقم 5 superior rectus دي annular ring, superior eyebrow, elevate الeye, oculomotor, inferior rectus, annular ring برضه, inferior eyebrow, depresses الeye, oculomotor, medial rectus رقم 7 annular ring, medial eyebrow, moves the eye medially, oculomotor, lateral rectus, annular ring, lateral eyeball, move the eye laterally, abducent nerve رقم 6 superior oblique annular ring, superior lateral eyeball, bitrochlea, depresses the eye and turns it laterally, trochlear nerve. ده الوحيد رقم 9 inferior oblique, medial orbit surface, inferior orbital eye surface, elevate the eye, turns it laterally, oculomotor. بعد كده الليفيتور لاباي سوبريور زيجوموتيك بون، ده رقم كام؟ 11 skin muscles of the upper lips, raise through the upper lips, facial, zygomatic minor, zygomatic bone, skin and muscle corner of the mouth. رقم 12 raises the lateral corner of the mouth, smelling, facial, zygomatic major, zygomatic bone, skin and muscle corner of the mouth, raises the lateral corner of the mouth, smelling, facial, rosaris, lateral facial associated with masseter muscle, skin and angle of the mouth, draw the corner of the lip laterally, tense of the lips, synergistic of zygomatic, facial. رقم 14 الباكسينيتور، ده مشهور قوي وده له 15 اللي هو باكسينيتور molar region of the maxilla and mandible, orbicularis oris, draws the corner of the mouth laterally, compresses the cheek, sucking, holds the food between its teeth and during chewing أثناء المضغ. رقم 15 facial depressor anguli oris, body of the mandible, below incisor, skin and muscle angle of the mouth, below insertion of the zygomatic, draw corner of the mouth laterally and downward, antagonist zygomatics, facial برضو. depressor labii inferior, body and mandible lateral to its midline, skin and muscle of the lower lip, draws the lower lip inferiorly, pout, facial. orbicularis oris رقم 18 تحت الشفة السفلى دي، arise directly from the maxilla and mandible, encircle الماوس اللي هي الصفارة ولا ايه، insert into the muscle, skin and angle of the mouth, cross the lips, versus and protuberous lips, kissing and whistling. الصفارة orbicularis oris. بلاتيزما facial chest over pectoral muscle, deltoid. بعد كده lower margin of the mandible and the skin muscle corner of the mouth. depress the mandible, pulse lower lip back and down. بعد كده الماسيستر zygomatic arch and maxilla angle and rams mandible, primover of jaw and closure, elevated mandible, trigeminal, temporalis, temporal fossa, coronate process of the mandible, colossal jaw, elevated retracts the mandible, synergistic of petrogoid, maintain position of the mandible at rest. رقم 5 trigeminal. medial petrogoid عضلات مهمة أوي في التي ام جي. medial surface of lateral petrogoid blade of sphenoid bone, maxilla, palatine bone, medial surface of mandibular near itism angle, synergistic for temporalis, masseter in elevation of the mandible, acts with lateral petrogoid muscle to protrude the mandible to promote side-to-side movement, grinding, trigeminal. lateral petrogoid, greater wing, lateral petrogoid blade of sphenoid bone, condyle mandibular, a capsule of temporomandibular joint, protrude the mandible, provide forward sliding, side-to-side grinding movement of the lower teeth, trigeminal. ده رقم 24. بعد كده الجينو جلوزس internal surface of the mandibular near symphysis, lateral inferior aspect of the tongue, retracts and elevated tongue, hypoglossous body and greater horn of hyoid bone, inferolateral tongue, depressor and the tongue draws it is side downward, hypoglossal برضو اللي هو رقم 12. lower margin of mandibular anterior belly mastoid process of the temporal bone, posterior belly by connective tissue loop to hyoid bone اللي هي digastric بقى digastric acting it concert elevate the hyoid bone, steady it during swallowing speech acting from behind, open the mouth, depress the mandible, mandibular branch of trigeminal anterior belly, facial and posterior belly. styloid رقم 28 styloid process of the temporal bone, hyoid bone, elevate and retract. رقم كام؟ 28 اهي. ماشي. hyoid bone, elevate and retract الهايد, elongate the floor of the mouth during swallowing, facial. ميلاهويد اللي هي medial surface of the mandibular, hyoid bone, medial raphe, elevate the hyoid bone, floor of the mouth, enabling the tongue to exert backward, upward pressure for swallowing, mandibular branch of trigeminal. Genoid اللي هي inner surface of mandibular, hyoid bone, medial raphe, pulls the hyoid bone superiorly, anteriorly, shortening the floor of the mouth, widening the pharynx and for receiving the food. First cervical spine nerve by glossopharyngeal. رقم 30 sternoid, manibrum and medial end of the clavicle, lower margin of the hyoid bone, depress the larynx, hyoid bone, if mandibular is fixed may also flex the skull. cervical spine nerves من 1 ل 3. ده السترنوهويد. رقم 31 سترنوهويد صغيرة جدا. سترنوهويد سترنوثايرويد the posterior surface of mandible, thyroid cartilage. رقم 32 pulls the thyroid cartilage plus pharynx, hyoid inferiorly, cervical spine nerves 1 ل 3. Omohyoid, superior surface of the scapula, hyoid bone, lower border, depress tract hyoid bone, cervical spine 1 ل 3. thyroid cartilage, hyoid bone, depress hyoid bone, elevate larynx if hyoid is fixed. First cervical by hyoid hypoglossal. بعد كده sternocleidomastoid mastoid, manubrum of the sternum, medial portion of the clavicle, mastoid process, temporal bone, superior nuchal line, occipital bone, Prime mover of active head flexion when act together. Rotate the head toward the opposite side when act singularly. Accessory nerve. Splenic capitis ligamentum nuclear. Spinous process vertebrae C7 C6 T6 C7 T6. Mastoid process temporal bone occipital bone. Capitalitis extend of hyperextend the head when acted together. Rotate and bend the head laterally toward the same side when act on one side. Cervical spinal move dorsal rami. Semispinalis capititis transverse process C7 12. Occipital bone capititis extends the head and move it opposite side. Synergist with sternocleidomastoid to opposite side. Spinal nervous اللي هو dorsal rami برقم 37. بعد كده الريكتور سبايناي اليوكوستاليس الياك كريستس لامبورا inferior 6 ribs سوراكس ثوراسيك ولا ايه ثوراسيزيس ريب من 3 ل 6 سيرفايكال انجل اوف ريب اللامبورم ثوراكس السيرفايكال فيرتبري من C6 ل C4 سيرفايكال extend the vertebral column maintain the butcher bend the vertebral column to the same side when acting on one side. Spinal nerve dorsal rami rectospinal longismus transverse process lumbar through cervical vertebrae transverse process thoracic cervical vertebrae and two ribs superior to original mastoid process for capititis. Cervical act together to extend the vertebral column. Act on one side, bend it laterally. Capititis extend the head and turn the face toward the same side. Spinal nervous dorsal rami rector spinalis spins of the upper lumbar lower thoracic vertebrae. Upper spine and upper thoracic and cervical vertebrae. Extends the vertebral column. Spinal nervous dorsal rami برضو. Quadratus lumborum iliac crest lumbar fascia transverse process of lumbar vertebrae lower margin of the 12 rib. Flex vertebral column laterally and alone together extend the lumbar spine. Fix 12 rib. Mental upright posture assist in forced breathing. 12 upper lumbar spinal nervous ventral rami. رقم 40 external intercostal inferior border of the rib above superior border of the rib below. Elevate the rib cage. Elevate the rib cage. It's an inspiration synergistic of the diaphragm intercostal internal intercostal superior border of the rib below. Inferior border costal groove of the rib above. The breast rib cage aid in forced expiration. Antagonist of external intercostal antagonist for external intercostal. بعد كده diaphragm inferior internal surface of the rib cage sternum intercostal cartilage of the last 6 ribs lumbar vertebrae central tendon prime mover of respiration flatten on contraction الفرينك. بعد كده رقم 43 rectus abdominis pubic crest symphysis pubis xiphoid process costal cartilage of rib 5 ل 7 flex and rotate the lumbar region of vertebral column fix the depressor ribs stabilize the pelvis during walking. Rectus abdominis increase the abdominal pressure. Intercostalis external oblique outer surface of the lower lips linea alba by aponeurosis when together synergistic to rectus abdominis. Flex the vertebral column. Compress the abdominal wall when alone. Synergistic to the muscle of the back. Rotate and lateral flexion of the trunk. Intercostal. Internal oblique. Lumbar fascia iliac crest. Inguinal ligament. Linea alba pubic crest. Last 3 or 4 reps. Costal margin. Same as external oblique. Intercostal. Transverse abdominal inguinal ligament. Lumbar fascia. Cartilage at last 6 reps iliac crest. Linea alba pubic crest. Compress the abdominal contents. Intercostal. levator ulni inside the pelvis from pubis to ischial spine. Inner surface of the coccygeus supports and maintains pelvic viscera. Resists downward thrusts from sphincter to an anorectal junction. Vagina lifts the anal canal during defecation. السربعة inferior rectal. Coccygeus spine of the ischium. Sacrum coccygeus support the pelvis viscera. Support the coccygeus pull it forward. السربعة S5 ده البلفيك فلور. البكتوراليس ماينور surface anterior surface of the ribs 3-5. Coracoid process of the scapula. Draw the scapula forward, downward, ribs fixed. Draw ribs cage superiorly, scapula fixed. Both pectoral nerves. Subclavius costal cartilage of the first rib. Group inferior surface of the clavicle. Stabilized breast pectoral girdle. Nerve to subclavius muscle. Serous anterior اللي هي البوكسر muscle. By series of muscle slips from ribs 1-9. Anterior surface of the vertebral border of the scapula. Agonist to protect and hold the scapula against rib cage. Rotate the scapula inferiorly angle laterally upward. Abductor is the arm, horizontal arm movement. Long thoracic nerve. Trapezius, occiput bone. Ligamentum nuclei. Spine 7-12. Spine acromion scapula. Lateral third of the clavicle. Stabilizer raises, retract, rotate the scapula. Abduct and retract the scapula middle. Elevate the scapula or synergist to head extension superior. Depress the scapula shoulder inferior. يبقى accessory nerve. بعد كده levator scapulae transverse process C1-4. Medial border of the scapula superior to the spine. Elevate and adduct the scapula synergist to the trapezius. Tilt the glenoid cavity down. Flex the neck to the same side. Fixed scapula. Cervical spine nervous. Dorsal scapular nerve. Rhomboidus minor. Spinous process من 7-1. Medial border of the scapula. Retract the scapula squaring shoulder. Synergist to the middle fiber of trapezius. Dorsal scapular nerve. Rhomboidus major. Spinous process of T2-T5. Medial border of the scapula. Posterior gonad cavity downward, lowering the arm against resistance. Stabilize the scapula. بعد كده البكتوراليس ميجور. external end of the clavicle sternum cartilage. rib 1-6. Aponeurosis external oblique muscle by short tendon into tubercle groove of the humerus. Agonist of arm flexion. Rotate the arm medially. Adducts arm against resistance. Pull the rib cage upward with scapula fixed. Lateral and medial pectoral nerve. Attachment dorsi by lumbo-dorsal fascio into spinous T7-5 lower 4 ribs crest. Floor intertubercle groove of humerus. Agonist of arm extension. Powerful arm adductor. Medially rotate arm shoulder depressor scapula. Pull body upward forward with arm fixed overhead. thoracodorsal. بعد كده الدولتويد. Lateral third of the clavicle acromion spine of the scapula. Deltoid depressed of the humerus. Agonist of the arm abduction with all fiber. Antagonist of the pectoralis major. Latissimus dorsi. Flex medially rotates the humerus with anterior fiber. Synergist of pectoralis major. Extend lateral rotate the arm with pectoralis fiber. Axillary nerve. Supraspinatus. بعد كده داخلين في الارم اهو. Supraspinatus foot of the scapula. Superior part of the greater tubercle of the humerus. Stabilize the shoulder. Helps prevent downward dislocation of the humerus. Suprascapular nerve. Infraspinous fossa of the scapula. Greater tubercle of the humerus. Posterior to the supraspinatus. Help hold the head of the humerus and glenoid cavity. Stabilize the shoulder joint. Rotate the humerus laterally. Suprascapular nerve. Subscapular fossa of the scapula. Lesser tubercle of the humerus. Chief medial rotator of the humerus as assisted by pectoralis major. Helps to hold the head of the humerus in the glenoid cavity. Stabilize the shoulder. Subscapular nerve. Teres minor lateral border of the dorsal scapular surface. Greater tubercle humerus inferior to the infraspinatus. Same as infraspinatus axillary nerve. teres major pectoral surface of the scapula, inferior angle, infratubercle groove of humerus, tendon fused with tendon latissimus dorsi, posterior medial extends medially, rotated adductor arm, synergist latissimus dorsi, lower subscapular nerve, coracobrachialis, coracoid process of the scapula, medial surface of the humeral shaft, flexion and adduction of the humerus, synergist pectoralis major, musculocutaneous nerve. بعد كده البايسبس بريكياي. احنا دلوقتي شغالين في الايه في الفور ارم. لونج هيد tubercle above the glenoid cavity and lip of glenoid cavity, scapula, short head 65-2 coracoid process of the scapula. Bicommon tendon radial tuberosity, flex elbow joint, supinated forearm usually at the same time, weak flexor of the arm shoulder, musculocutaneous nerve, brachialis, front of the distal humerus, coronoid process of the ulna, major forearm flexor synergist with biceps brachii, musculocutaneous nerve, brachioradialis, lateral supracondylar ridge, distal end of the humerus, base of the styloid process of the radius, synergist in forearm flexion, best when forearm is partially flexed, stabilize the elbow during rapid flexion and extension, radial nerve, triceps brachii, lateral head اللي هي 68 واحد ماشي، triceps brachii, posterior shaft of the humerus, long head, infraglenoid tubercle, medial head, posterior humeral shaft, distal to the radial row, bicommon tendon into the glenoid process of the ulna, agonist forearm extension, medial head, antagonist of the forearm flexor, stabilize shoulder joint, assist in arm adduction, long head tendon, radial nerve, anconeus, lateral epicondyle of the humerus, lateral aspect of the coronoid process 65, abductor ulna, during forearm pronation, synergist of triceps brachii in elbow flex extension, radial nerve, pronator steers medial epicondyle of the humerus, coronoid process of the ulna, bicommon tendon into lateral radius midshaft, pronator forearm, weak flexor of the elbow, medial nerve, supinator lateral epicondyle of the humerus, radial collateral annular ligament, spinous fossa, crest of the ulna, lateral anterior posterior surface of the proximal side of the radius, forcibly supinated forearm with biceps brachii, weakly supinated forearm work along, antagonist of pronator tear, posterior interosseous nerve. بعد كده الريست بقى، دخلنا في الريست اهو. flexor carpi radialis, medial epicondyle, base of second third metacarpal anterior, powerful flexor of the wrist, abduct the hand, with synergist of elbow flexion, medial nerve, palmaris longus, medial epicondyle of the humerus, palmon oblongus, crest flexor, with synergist of elbow flexion, tense skin of the palm during hand, tenses skin of the palm during hand movement, medial nerve, palmaris longus, flexor carpi ulnaris, medial epicondyle humerus, acronym process, posterior surface of the ulna, with the formal hamate or bone base of the fifth metacarpal anterior, powerful flexor of the wrists, adduct the hand and extensor carpi ulnaris, stabilize the wrist during finger extension, ulnar nerve, flexor carpi radialis longus, lateral supracondylar ridge of the humerus, base of the second metacarpal posterior, extend the wrist with extensor carpi ulnaris, abductor right with flexor carpi radialis, radial nerve, extensor carpi ulnaris, lateral epicondyle of the humerus, posterior border of the ulna, base of the fifth metacarpal posterior, extend the adductor wrist, deep branch of the radial nerve. بعد كده هنخش في الايه في الفنجر بقى، flexor digitorum superficialis, medial epicondyle of the humerus, coronoid process of the ulna, shaft of the radius, bifur tendon on the middle phalanges من 2 ل 5, flex wrist middle phalanges of finger 2 ل 5, medial nerve, extensor digitorum lateral epicondyle of the humerus, bifur tendon on the extensor expansion distal phalanges of the finger 2 ل 5, prime mover of the finger extension, extend the wrist كان abduct الفلير finger. ده الفلكسور، ده الاكستنسور ديجيتال. posterior interosseous nerve and a branch of the radial nerve. Extensor digiti minimi, lateral epicondyle of the humerus. Extensor expansion of the fifth digit. Extend the fifth digit. Posterior interosseous nerve, a deep branch of the radial nerve. Extensor pollicis longus, posterior surface of the middle third of the ulna, base of the distal phalanges. Extend the thumb, posterior interosseous nerve. Abductor pollicis longus, posterior interosseous nerve برضه abductor. extend the thumb. بتاخد من posterior surface of the distal ulna للبيز of the first intercarpal والترابيزيوم. بعد كده السارتوريوس anterior superior iliac spine, middle aspect of the proximal tibia, flex and abduct and lateral rotate thigh, flex knee weak, femoral nerve. بعد كده اليوسوس الياكس الياكفوسا crest lateral sacrum, lesser trochanter of the femur, remover of the thigh flexion, lateral flexion of the vertebral column psoas, femoral nerve. اليوسوس اليوسوس major, transverse process of the 1-5. 1-5 بودز ديسك في 12-5. lesser trochanter of the femur, ventral nerve, pectineal layer of the pubis, inferior from lesser trochanter to linea aspera, adduct and flex and medial rotated thigh, femoral and pterygoid nerve, gracilis, inferior ramen, body of the pubic ischial ramus, medial surface of the tibial shaft, just inferior to the medial condyle. Adduct the thigh, flex and medial rotated leg when walking, pterygoid nerve. Adductor magnus, scale and pubic rami, scale tuberosity, linea aspera, adductor tubercle of the femur, adductor medially rotated thigh, anterior part, synergist of hamstring and cycle extension, posterior part of pterygoid nerve, adductor longus pubic near pubic symphysis, linea aspera, adductor flexus and medially rotated thigh, anterior division of the pterygoid nerve, tensor fascia lata, anterior iliac crest, anterior superior iliac spine, iliotibial tract, flex and abduct the thigh, synergist of iliopsoas, gluteus maximus muscles, rotate the thigh medially, steady the trunk by pulling iliotibial tract taut, locking the knee, superior gluteal nerve, gluteus maximus, dorsal ilium, sacrum coccygeal, gluteal tuberosity of the femur, iliotibial tract, major extensor of the thigh, lateral rotate, abduct the thigh, inactive during standing, inferior gluteal nerve, gluteus medius, lateral surface of the ilium, between anterior and posterior gluteal line, short tendon, lateral aspect of the greater trochanter, abduct the thigh, anterior part rotated hip medially, posterior part rotated hip laterally, superior gluteal nerve, gluteus minimus, dorsal ilium between the anterior and inferior gluteal line, superior border of the greater trochanter of the femur, abduct and medially rotated thigh, superior gluteal nerve. بعد كده البايسبس فوميرس، لونج هيد اسكيال توبرست، شورت هيد لينيا اسبرا ديستال فيمر، بايكومن تندون into the head of the fibula, lateral condyle of the tibia, extend the thigh, flex the knee, laterally rotate the leg when the knee is flexed, sciatic nerve, semitendinosus, scaltobrosity, middle aspect of the upper part of the tibial shaft, extend the thigh, flex the knee, medially rotate the leg with semimembranosus, sciatic nerve, semimembranosus, scaltobrosity, medial condyle of the tibia, extend the thigh, flex the knee, medially rotate the leg, sciatic nerve, popliteus, lateral condyle of the femur, proximal tibia, posterior surface, unlock knee by flexes, rotate the leg medially, rotate the thigh laterally, use tibial flexed tibial nerve. بعد كده rectus femoris, anterior inferior iliac spine, anterior inferior iliac spine, superior margin of the acetabulum, extend the knee, flex the thigh, hip, femoral nerve, vastus lateralis, greater trochanter, intertrochanteric linea aspera, extend the stabilizer knee, femoral nerve, vastus medialis, linea aspera, intertrochanteric line, patella vertebral tuberosity by patellar ligament, extend the knee, stabilize the patella inferior fiber, femoral nerve, vastus intermedius, anterior and lateral superior surface of the proximal femur, extend the knee, femoral nerve برضه. بعد كده التبيالس anterior Tibialis anterior, lateral condyle, upper 2/3 of the tibial shaft enter to osseous membrane by tendon into inferior surface of the medial cuneiform. The first metatarsal, remover of dorsiflexion in nervatal foot, assistant supports medial longitudinal arch, deep tibular nerve, fibularis longus, head and upper portion of the lateral fibula by long tendon underfoot into first metatarsal medial cuneiform, plantar flexus, evertal foot, may help keep the foot flat in the ground, superficial fibular nerve, fibularis brevis, distal fibula shaft by tendon behind the lateral malleolus into base of the fifth metatarsal, plantar flexus, evertal foot, superficial fibular nerve, gastrocnemius by two heads from medial and lateral condyles of the femur, plantar flexor foot when knee is extended, flexor knee when foot is dorsiflexed, plantar flexor foot when the knee is extended, flexor knee when the foot is dorsiflexed, tibial nerve, soleus superior and tibia and fibula interosseous membrane, posterior calcaneus by calcaneal tendon Achilles, plantar flexor foot, important locomotor postural muscle, tibial nerve, Balantaris posterior femoral above the lateral condyle by long thin into calcaneus or calcaneus tendon, assist knee flexion, plantar flexion of the foot اللي هي تعتبر tibial nerve. بعد كده الاكستنسور هالوسوس لونجس anteromedial fibula shaft interosseous membrane, distal flanks of the big toe, extend the big toe, dorsiflexor foot, deep fibular nerve, extensor digitorum longus, lateral condyle of the tibia, proximal lateral above the fibula interosseous membrane, medial and distal flanges of the toes 2-5 by extensor expansion by mover of toe extension, merely metatarsal joint, dorsiflexor foot with tibialis anterior, extensor hallucis longus, deep fibular nerve, the flexor hallucis longus mid shaft of the fibula, interosseous membrane, tendon runs under the foot of distal phalanges of big toe, plantar flex under vertical foot, flexing big toe, pushing off muscle when walking, pushing off muscle when walking, tibial nerve, flexor digitorum, posterior tibia, tendon runs behind the medial malleolus, insert into distal phalanges of toes 2-5, plantar flexus, inverted foot, flexed toes, elbow foot, grip ground, tibial nerve.